Ammon to this day is the capital of Jordan. So we have Jordan's going to escape out of his hand. Edom and Moab. This is where I believe it's Iraq. I believe if I got those nations right, Iraq is where that is today. And so if you look, it's going to be that Fertile Crescent area. These are not going to be overtaken by the Antichrist. It could be because they're already in connection with the Antichrist, especially if he's Islamic, because this is a heavily Islamic territory that we're going to be having, that we're going to be dealing with. I'm looking at in the end times. And if this is so, then we have where we talked about earlier that he could come from the land of Persia. We talked about it earlier, and this is exactly where that comes from. Now, Daniel 9:27, I want to look at what this says, and this ties into Revelation 6. Daniel 9:27. Look at this. And he, meaning the Antichrist, shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. This covenant for 1 week is actually 7 years, a week of 7 years. And he will, in the midst of the week, or after 3.5 years, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of the abomination, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation and that determined shall be poured out upon the desolate. So what this says is, after 3.5 years of this peace treaty of 7 years, guess what he's going to do? He's going to come in, he's going to invade Jerusalem. And this ties into but Revelation chapter 6, where we have the Antichrist first coming as a white horse, but the first seal is broken. But when you break that second seal 3.5 years later, what is it? It's a red horse coming to bring war and to take peace from the earth. And that's what the Antichrist is going to do. Look at so why is he going to invade Jerusalem? Let's go to 2 Thessalonians real quick. This is why the Antichrist is going to invade Jerusalem. He's going to come into Israel. 2 Thessalonians. Where's my Thessalonians? I'm getting there. Colossians, 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians. Look at what he's going to do. 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, I'm going to read verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there be a falling away. This deals with the great apostasy that's coming on the world, the great apostasy. Now, check this out. This falling away, and it's going to happen, and the man of sin or lawlessness we just talked about will be revealed, the son of perdition. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or all that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So the Antichrist is going to invade Jerusalem. At this point, he's probably going to kill the 2 witnesses of Revelation chapter 11 that have been building the temple and preaching and preparing people to receive salvation. He's going to walk in. He's going to kill the 2 witnesses. They're going to lie dead in the streets for 3 days. Now get this. When the Antichrist kills the 2 witnesses, you know what the world's going to do? You can't make this stuff up. It's actually in Revelation chapter 11. Matter of fact, let's go read that, because I know y'all ain't going to believe me unless I read this to you. This is insane. It's totally insane. Look at this. Revelation chapter 11. And when we have the 2 witnesses are killed, look at this. It said, and they of the people and the kindreds of tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. There's that 3.5 time period again. It's a parallel. And shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in the graves. Verse 10 of Revelation 11 says this, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. Can you believe there's going to come a time when people will begin to preach the gospel, build the temple, get it ready for Christ to come in and set in it and be worshipped and reign and reign. And what's going to happen? The Antichrist is going to come in. He's going to defile it, kill the 2 witnesses. And what's the world going to do? They're going to rejoice and give each other gifts like some kind of satanic Christmas holiday. Can you believe that? This is what's going to be happening in these final days. It's crazy. It's insane, but it's going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit excited here. I tell you, I love studying this stuff. And this is what we have to worry about. Now, let's talk about some of the final things of the Antichrist. I'm going to I'm going to dog ear something here for 2 Thessalonians, because I want to come back and read it as we learn what's going to happen to the Antichrist. I'm going to come back and read that 2 Thessalonians here again, because it's going to tell us what's going to happen to the Antichrist. Dog hear that? And I want to go to Psalm chapter 2. Psalms chapter 2. Listen to this. I'm going to read a few verses of this chapter, and I want you to just listen to what's being said here. Psalm chapter 2. Why do the heathens rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, meaning Jesus, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. I believe that's speaking when it says, let us cast off their cords. I think they're saying that we've been put in chains. These are the principalities that are going to break free from them. They want to get off their shackles, and they're going to lead the world into Armageddon and come against Christ. They want to wage war against him. And look at what verse 4 says. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then he shall speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore pleasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for a possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them to pieces like potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges on earth. Verse 11 and 12, finishing up, says, serve the Lord with fear and rejoice and trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. This is a picture of what's going to happen at the battle of the Armageddon, when everybody comes together to do war against Israel, to fight against them in the final anti-Semitic wave that's going to come in. It's going to be led by the Antichrist. And God's going to sit there and laugh, because when they start to go against God, Christ is going to step out. He's going to return. And they're going to turn their attention to go to war with God. Can you imagine that? The armies of the world are going to go to war against Christ when they see him coming in glory. Huh? Ain't that something? That's crazy. Now check this out. How is it going to end for them? Well, we know they're going to get defeated, right? I mean, you can't beat God. Listen to what 2 Thessalonians 2 says. And then, this is 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed. That means when the rapture takes place, the wicked will be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and destroy them with the brightness of his coming. Now think about that for a minute. All God's going to do is show up, and they're going to die. They're going to be completely taken out. They're going to be totally wiped out. This is something that's going to be really amazing. It's going to be a moment that comes out. And I think it's in Zechariah where it talks about how when Christ does this, when he shows up, their eyes are going to melt, their tongues are going to melt, and they're going to be dead before they hit the body. This is going to be from the Shekinah glory of Jesus Christ. Hey, Shannon, good to have you here with us tonight. So we're going to have this going on, and this is exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be the final state of the Antichrist. Now, let me share something about the false prophet. We're just over the halfway point that I'd like to do. We'll probably go a little bit over tonight, but that's okay. We usually do anyway. What about the mystery religion and the false prophet? Okay. Well, Revelation 17 is where we get some stuff from the Babylon, mystery Babylon, Revelation 17. Let's take a look at that real quick. Revelation 17, we're going to read 8 and 9. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. This is about the Antichrist. And it shall go into perdition, and they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And here's a mind of wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains which the woman sets. So this is speaking about the false prophet. Okay, the false prophet. Verse 10 says, and the 7 kings are 5 are fallen, one is, and the other is not yet come. Now, I had all this written down, I thought, but apparently I left it somewhere. I took it out of my notes. Let's see if we can't do this. He's not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue for a short space, verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even is the eighth and is of the seven, goes into perdition. So what Antichrist are we going to have here? What are we going to be doing here? Where's this false prophet going? Where's this mystery religion going to come from? Now you have Egypt, you have Assyria, you have Persia, and you got Babylon, then you got Persia, then you got Greece, and you got Rome. The seventh empire is going to be the revived Rome. And so we have to ask ourselves, out of those seven empires, 5 are fallen and 1 is. So all of them have fallen except for Rome at the time of the writing of this. They have all fallen. Now the 8th one is of those that have fallen of those other kingdoms. So which ones do we have that have fallen, but there's one that has disappeared? Well, see, Egypt is still around. It's not an empire, but Egypt is still a nation. Syria is still around. It's known as Syria, but it's still here. Babylon, interesting enough, Babylon doesn't exist anywhere. There's nowhere there. Nowhere. Okay. Persia, it's still around. It's Iran. Iranians call themselves Persians. And then we know about the Grecians. Greece is still here. Okay. And then we know about Rome and the city of Rome. So the only one that needs to be revived in the last days is Babylon. And this is exactly what we have, Mystery Babylon. Okay. And we talked about it earlier, how it's going to revive the Mystery Babylon. The religion is going to revive the world. Now, listen, follow me on this. Follow me here. It's going to unite the world. I want to look at this real quick. Revelation chapter 13 verse 11 says this. What kind of religion is this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? What religious system is going to be this Mystery Babylon? Revelation chapter 13 verse 11 says this. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had 2 horns. That represents power over 2 religions. And like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. In the Middle East, there is a sheep, that actually has horns. Over here in America, they don't have them. Now notice, he has 2 horns representing power over different groups of people. And he's like a lamb. He comes in the appearance of a lamb, but he speaks like a dragon. Think about that. He's going to look like Christianity, but he's going to speak with the mouth and the words of a dragon, of Satan. Now, listen to this. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7 that you'll know the fruit, you'll know the sheep, but you know the tree by the fruit that it bears. He said you have to be very careful because there's wolves in sheep's clothing. Sheep are only in the church, nowhere else, no other religion. Paul talks about how after he founded the church of Ephesus, he said, when I leave, I fear that ravenous wolves in sheep's clothing will come, not sparing the flock. That's Acts 20:29. Now, what we have here is false Christianity. I believe that it's going to come from 2 different aspects. Again, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm trying to tell you what's really going on out there. We have Protestantism and we have Catholicism, and I believe both of these branches of Christianity are going to fall prey to some very bad and evil spirits. And I'm going to look at that in the latter section here as we get into the Mystery Babylon.